All right, man. So this is Pastor Jeff Durbin, and his YouTube channel is Apologia Studios. I believe he pastors at Apologia Church is the name of the church over at Arizona. And this is title of this video says, "Pastor crushes liberal argument." Let's see what this is about.
Let's talk about the babies.
God, the only one that matters.
Let's talk about developing the science so that we can implant an embryo on the lining of the abdominal wall so y'all can carry the one thing.
Okay, what did she say?
Implant an embryo on the lining of the abdominal wall so y'all can carry the one thing. All these babies you want.
Okay, but
So you can go through the process. You can do a cesarean, deliver it.
you oppose 570?
God of the Bible, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth,
I have
and the life.
significant concerns about the unforeseen consequences of the law.
Of what? What do you,
570.
what does he have concerns about?
Saying that's your view. Don't we
My
have separation
concerns
churches?
are unfounded allegations against women who have a spontaneous miscarriage of murder because baby daddy wanted the baby and he thinks she did something to it. So now there's all kinds of issues brought on the woman.
That'd be an invalid concern. The bill has
It's
nothing
not.
to do with miscarriages. It has to do
Yeah,
with
but the
malice
the
of
bill
forethought.
doesn't say
It does.
If a man
You haven't
decides
read
that
it.
the woman murdered the miscarriage, you say miscarriage is fine.
Miscarriages are fine. They're
Okay,
they're
so
horrible.
an IUD it prevents the implantation of an egg. Okay.
Tennessee
Yeah.
is an individual state, and they have their own.
Some of these medications induce a miscarriage. What if a guy wanted to say that some activity,
I would love for us to see
not
that.
mifepristone, mifepristone, not an IUD,
I would absolutely
not whatever,
love
but
for
some activity that his
Christ
baby
and
mama
seek God.
did, right, caused that miscarriage, and so he wants her prosecuted for murder.
Yeah.
It can
Yes,
happen.
no.
No, it's an
because-
yeah, you never, it all in your perfect
No,
world. But
no.
see,
So
there's
what
unforeseen
all the bill
consequences.
says, and I think you would agree with. I think you would agree with most of it. The bill says that you're human for fertilization. That's all biological science says that. There's no dispute on that. That's an unassailable fact. We're all human from fertilization, and it just simply says that
Because
all.
you have human DNA.
Yeah, so every human is human from the moment of fertilization. So it just says that every human being in Tennessee deserves to be equally protected under the law.
So when do I
think-
get the right to, if I'm pregnant, when do I get to write them off on my taxes? Claim them as a dependent on my taxes.
I think-
Healthcare during pregnancy is very
I think you ought to be able to. Yeah, because I think consistency in the law would say, yeah,
That's a good point the lady's bringing up, right? When do I get to claim the human as a dependent, right? Is it since life is already in the? I never thought about that. That's a very, very good point. They're referencing a Bill 570. Let's see what we can find here. Bill 570. Yeah, I'm thinking this is in Arizona, bro. That's what I hear. SB 157. Is this it? It might be in another state, man. Let's see. Let me look at the context. Is this inconsistency? It doesn't say. I know he's from Arizona, but he's been, in multiple states, right? Fighting for pro-life, right? It's pro-life, right? He doesn't believe in abortion, neither do I.
yes, you're human from fertilization, so you immediately have a human being inside of you, and so I would agree with that. But that would be something as a consequence.
Conversely, would you support laws barring the use of anabolic steroids, which can significantly decrease a man's ability to father a child? My stepdaughter and her husband had a horrible time conceiving because of his past use.
Yeah.
Now they're left with embryos in an IVF facility.
Right.
And she had placenta accreta, so her placenta was embedded in her uterus. She nearly died. In fact, if she were giving that birth to
Sorry
now
to
in
hear that.
Texas, she would die.
I'm terribly
they
sorry to
saved
hear
her
that.
uterus. They've got these embryos. You want to carry them to term?
Well, actually, there's
I just wanted to introduce myself and thank you for coming.
it's my honor.
I'm Monty Fritz.
It's a pleasure to meet you,
Tell me your name.
Jeff Durbin.
Jeff Durbin.
Yes, sir.
I thought I recognized your face and the beard or something.
Yeah, it's probably the
Thank you
beard.
for coming out here today. What's
Thank you
home
the
for
honor.
you?
Thank you. What's that?
Yeah, she's holding a binder that says yes 570. I'm trying to see if I can find anything about where this is taking place.
What's home for you?
Arizona,
We can
Phoenix.
check the bill for ourselves.
Arizona, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you so much.
Apologize for the interruption, ma'am. I thought I recognized his face. Apologize for the interruption.
Oh, no, it's fine.
It's
Yeah.
good to see you.
So, is he a politician here? Is that who it was?
Pin. He looks like he's got a pin.
I don't even know. I'm so sorry.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
seeing a pin that looks like
Yeah.
I think it's one of the I'm not part of the house pins.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your daughter.
So much
What the attempt is to do is to say
unequal treatment.
if the child dies,
That's terrible, right?
It's just unequal treatment. So what do women do if
Can I
they
ask
end
you a
up with
question about that?
fertilized embryo in a facility?
Yeah.
That now, if they were to say,
Now, sorry.
she can't carry it.
He interrupted when you were you brought up a good important
she
point.
has no
Yeah.
uterus anymore.
Yeah, you brought up an important
So
point.
what happens to those eggs?
Yeah.
Those embryos?
Yeah.
They're embryos. They're not babies. They're embryos. You
Well,
can't freeze
no, they're-
a baby. You can freeze an embryo.
They are already developed humans. They're your daughter's babies.
They're not babies. They're embryos.
Well, the moment that sperm and egg meet,
Okay, I accept your statement that they're human because of human DNA, but you can't freeze a baby. You can freeze an embryo.
okay,
So
no,
there's a
according to
difference.
the law now, the law now allows you to do that. What we would say
No, but I mean,
is
you can
what
freeze
we-
an embryo and revive it, and it's fine. If you froze a baby, it doesn't work. So
exactly because you're at the developmental stage at that stage. Yeah, so there are distinctions.
Actually,
Yeah, so there's different phases to life, right? You know, everything begins at conception, right? And then the further that it advances, the more sensitive that things become. You're not strongest as an adult, right? You're strongest as at conception as an embryo, right? That's when you're the strongest. When you become an adult, that's when you start getting the flu and high blood pressure and cholesterol and sickness, the cold and stuff like that. That does not happen. That does not exist at conception, right? When the sperm meets the egg, those kind of things are not present. So that's what I'm trying to. If you get what I'm trying to say here, right? So yeah, her point kind of like. I understand what she's trying to say, but at the same time, it's like, lady, think about it logically, and her argument is falling apart here.
You brought up a good point. I'll say two things. One is a woman at my church this last week has been trying to have snowflake babies. These are these babies that are all created and frozen on ice. And women are trying to adopt those so they can give those babies a chance to develop and to grow, to give them their life. And so we're heavily invested in that too. I appreciate the fact
you're supporting the idea of someone adopting the embryo.
the babies that are on ice, the developing humans that are on ice right
frozen
now.
embryos,
Yeah, the
okay.
developing humans that are on ice.
I'm actually using the medical term.
Yeah,
as
but
an
you,
embryo,
but
so-
you.
Okay, I see a Tennessee. So okay, now I see. Let's see. So this is actually Tennessee. Funny enough, I didn't know how to spell Tennessee when we did that. What's it called? The freaking naming the states. So Bill 570. Let's see, HB 570. Is it this one? I saw somebody holding a. Oh, here it is. Separate bill requiring treatment of pregnant woman or women fails. 570. What does the bill say? HB 570. Filed for introduction. Where do we see it? All kinds of amendments. So this is like what happened with it. Summary. Leave it to Congress, right, to make it impossible to find information on it. All we have is like dates and stuff. I'm unable to click anything here. This is crazy. House Bill 570. Here it is. Oh, what are these amendments? they always add things to like, unless this has nothing to do with anything. But here it says, Tennessee abortion bill dies in the House, 570. Oh, here's something. State government has introduced directs the state capital commission to be responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of the monument to unborn children through funds appropriated to the commission. What the hell does that even mean, bro? Directs the state capital commission to be responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of the monument to unborn children through funds appropriated to the commission. Is that what they're talking about? Embryos?
But you and I started as embryos, correct?
It's an embryo.
Yeah,
we
and
started.
at the very moment of your
I
conception,
started half as an egg.
yeah, the very moment of your conception and my conception, all of the
You have the-
biological data of you was at that moment.
No,
The
I'm
only
not disputing the fact that the fertilized egg contains the full DNA from the male and the female.
so it's fully human from fertilization.
I'm not disputing that.
Good.
fact.
Okay, so we're
I
in
mean, it's
agreement.
got human DNA.
We're in
But it is
agreement.
not a baby.
We're in agreement
It's not a viable organism.
well, all of us go through development throughout our lives from that stage, all different stages. We can't kill other human beings because they're at a different developmental stage. Like, when we
This
get
law would kill women if they had miscarriage.
no,
So
it would not. You're bringing that up against a fallacious argument. I'd encourage you not to use that again because it's going to look very foolish if you do.
Well, I know Kentucky they're charging.
Yeah, I remember like in grade school when they had like the metamorphosis of a butterfly, right? It's like you can see like the larva stage and the worm stage, and then it goes into a cocoon, and then it becomes a butterfly and stuff. It's just kind of the same thing with humans, bro. We undergo some kind of metamorphosis, right? This human being, metamorphosis, or human being in the process of becoming, man or woman, right? The process of becoming a human being, or right. So it's a sperm and egg, and if you go back to that, there's a process of meiosis, the reproduction of sex gametes and stuff to successfully find a partner and have progeny or make progeny. So half of your chromosomes and half of your partner's chromosomes, right? If you're a man, it would be a woman, and if you're a woman, it would be a man. Half of the chromosomes of each, to blend and share information in order to create life, right? So that starts at conception, right? When the sperm meets the egg. And then from there, there's begins the trimesters of life, right? In the course of about 90 days, right? Is it 90 days? No, it's 9 months, actually. In the course of about 9 months, it's actually the 9 months from conception. Then air is involved, right? The exchangement of gases with the atmosphere, right? And the body. Now you're in the world, right? So, it's to say that an embryo is not life, or you'd be wrong, right? That's dumb logic, because it's one of the phases, to become mankind, right? To become this. It's one of the phases, right? And even then, once you're born, you're not a man or a woman, right? You're a baby. And then you become a toddler. And then you become a teenager. And then you become an adult. And then you become a geriatric person, right? There's medical terms for this even, man. Pediatrics is what it is. Neonatals, they call them when they're newborns, right? Pediatrics, and then, just regular, patients. Geriatrics is the terms that they give to older folk, right? So there's a distinction, right? So these people, these dumb people, bro, they just want to find anything, right? Just say, I can't control myself. I want to be having sex all the time. And because I like the way it feels and I'm sexually immoral, which is fine, right? I mean, nobody's judging you. Just be honest. If people were just honest and just go at the core what it is. I don't like this because I'm sexually immoral. I want to open my legs to everybody. And if I get pregnant along the way, I don't want to have a child because I want to be having sex with everybody. Just say that instead, right? Just say that instead. And the same thing for the dudes that are on that side also. Right? But no, they have to find because of the immorality. They have to find something to justify this, to blanket it and disguise it and mask it. And now it's, well, actually, you know, what about the rape? And what about this? And what about that? Fuck you. Just be honest, man. I would respect people so much more, bro, if they were just fucking honest, as opposed to this dumb bullshit here, right? That's why it's straight up phony, and you know, right? But this guy has a lot of patience, right? And a lot of love and stuff. I wouldn't mind engaging with one of these idiots, right? You know, but just be fucking honest, right? At that point, all the debate just ends. Oh, okay, well then this is the reason, right? This is the reason why you want to do it, you know. That's it. But because they can't, because they know it's wrong, right? Nobody never has done that, you know. They want to take the moral high ground, right? Of ridiculous.
Women with murder.
This law says nothing about miscarriages. That's a tragedy. It's a sad circumstance. It's not with malice of forethought. This law treats every human being, which you agreed you're human for fertilization, equally in the state of Tennessee. You mentioned a moment ago something.
We've read the bill, and it has nothing to do with miscarriages. So this lady is, again, she's
so important, and I'm glad you said it.
She's an idiot, you know.
You talked about not being treated equal, and so you're very passionate about that. But that's what this bill says. There should be equality of justice for every human being.
Yeah, what is that? You just dismantled her argument again. You're all about equality, but not when it comes to life. Yeah, it's all about equality, right, and women's rights and all these things and equal protections and stuff. But when it comes to life, nah, fuck that, right? So he's pointing out her. That's crazy. Look at her face. She's shocked. She doesn't even know what to think. She's probably gonna come up with some rape, right? But what about rape, right? Let's hear. Let's
You agree with that, right?
Ladies not outside?
Yes.
That's what this bill is.
Yes, but I disagree that an embryo that cannot survive on its own. You come up with some way to incubate these outside the woman's body.
Yeah.
You come up with some way to
I think they already have. I think they've been able to do that. I think I saw that China has the technology, right? So y'all are gonna become obsolete in the future. You're not gonna be needed anymore for the sustainment of populations, right? And you did that to yourself. You fall on your own sword right now. Why were we made? If we're not made to pass on genes towards the next generation, right? That's what we're made for, right? The man, the whole thing. Think about this. Even in animals, you see this. I took this a veterinarian class, right? Caloric intake and stuff, you know, in regards to bulls and goats and stuff. All the processes, as long as, you know, you can reproduce, right? The whole body functions, the whole point of it is to make sure that you can pass off your genes. That's the whole point of this system. That's all it's alive for. Its only focus is to do that, right? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how much energy goes towards that. The process of meiosis, right? Where it's just replicating itself in order to pass it on, right? To the next individual, right? Or to the next generation. And the same thing with women, too. Right now, women, it's a little bit trickier because there's only a certain number of eggs you have. But it's the same thing. That's your programming is this. That's your programming. That's what you're for, right? That's why you were created. Be fruitful and multiply, right? Subdue the earth, you know. But no. Oh, this has to become about. So just say it. Just tell the truth, man. Tell the truth. You know, I'm sexually immoral, right? I'm gonna be fucking a bunch of partners. That's how I like to live my life. I had daddy issues, right? And if you're a guy, you had mommy issues or whatever the fuck happened to you, right? You can't control yourself. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And if there is, right, if it's inhibiting you from, you know, other aspects of your life, right, to getting things done, and it's a problem, well, at that point, seek professional help, right? There's counselors, there's therapists, right, that can get to these core issues, right? Why Why is this a thing for me? Why is it always this? Why, do I need validation from, several different men? Do I need validation from several different women? What for? Why don't I have validation, right? There's all these questions, right? Who didn't validate me, right? Was I missing love, etc., right? Do you know what that is? Did somebody hurt you? And then now you have, to do all these things, right? So there's all these questions.
Plant them in somebody else and in men, and then fine, take that embryo and do that with it. But there isn't, it doesn't feel, it's not right to get in the middle of this sort of a decision that a woman has to go through when in this bloody state she could well die from.
Can I tell you what it sounds to me like you're saying, and you tell me if I have it correct?
I'm telling the government doesn't belong between a woman and her doctor.
So if I could
and
kind
a
of
family
restate
and their doctor.
it
That's
sounds
what
to me
I'm
like
saying.
you're not disputing that the child in the womb is a person with the right
She's
to life.
going to some other place. We just read the bill. This has, to do with protecting life, and in this case, stored embryos and stuff, right? That money should be allocated to doing that. She's going somewhere else here, so where she goes, you lose in either case. The moral argument is lost, right? And even the logical one also. She has no firm footing, none whatsoever.
You're simply saying that if a woman has to be inconvenienced with pregnancy, that person should die.
That's
Is that
not what I'm
correct?
saying.
Okay, what are you saying? Is that a human being in the womb from the moment of
Okay,
fertilization?
how many times have we been down
But
this
she
road?
she
that.
did agree
How
with
many
it.
times have we been down this road?
You said that.
Stop,
so
stop.
no.
You
So
stop.
you said that. So
You
then,
stop.
what does
To
that
me-
person deserve under law? That's my question.
To me, when they can stand on their own, and they survive on their
Being
own.
able to stand?
No. Survive on their own.
You
So
don't.
What about a paralytic person that can't survive on their own? What about somebody who's born, in a vegetative state, right? Who has like feeding tubes and stuff? Is that not a person? Is that not a human being, right? The argument of this lady it falls on its own now. She said when they can stand on their own, she turned it into when they can survive on their own. So then a baby that's born, right, once it does come out of the womb, it can't survive on its own, right? It needs its mother's milk. It needs to be fed. It needs to be protected, right? So then that's not life by this lady's logic. If it can't survive on its own, so a baby can't survive on its own, so it's not life even though it's been born, the argument collapses here again. Our argument collapses.
Hold on, real fast. You, sweetheart, you don't believe that.
I mean, actually, viably, like your blood, got your own blood.
You don't
spike.
believe that. You don't believe that
Who
a
are
human.
you to tell me what I believe? Who are you
a
to
moment
tell
ago,
me
you
what I
gave
believe?
me an understanding of your real sense of justice and care for other human beings. So I believe you. I believe that you care about other human beings, that you care about equality. I'm saying I believe you. And so I'm saying that I don't think you believe what you just said, because I don't think that you would say to my twin daughters that were born at 29 weeks gestation, spent 2.5 months in the NICU, I don't think you would say that when they came out, we should allow them just to
No,
die. We shouldn't try to save their lives.
So 30 years ago, they would have.
They wouldn't have just let them die. They would have
No,
desperately
they would have
hoped.
done what they could have,
They
but
would have
they
done what they
would
could have.
likely not.
Why would they have
At
done
this
that?
moment-
Why would they have done that? Because they're not viable on their own. Neither are newborns.
So what should happen to children in the NICU and the hospital?
We're doing.
Do you see? You see it.
It's
I
an
don't
important
see it, and I
question.
disagree. I
You see
disagree
it.
that you have
Does it
any.
depend on
He's an idiot, man. He's just, incapable of logic, intellectually dishonest person here. She also made a mention that when it can survive on its own blood, right? What is that? It has again, when the gametes meet, and by gametes I mean the sperm and the egg, when they come into contact, there's a process and mechanisms, right, to create organs, to create tissues, to create, the different kinds of cells, whether that be cardiac cells, digestive cells, nervous cells, right? All these kind of white blood cells, right? It's a process to create these things, right? It's a machine, a machine. Imagine, bro. Can you understand what I'm saying here? Right? What is that? If that's not a miracle in itself, right? Organs are being created. A sperm and an egg just met, right? They came into contact. It has the imprints to do this. The cells know what they need to do, right? And not a portion allocated to that, a portion allocated to that, right? All these things, right? You can literally, cut yourself here, you're going to bleed out, some blood, right? But it's going to be replaced, right? It knows how to do that. And this lady's saying that if it can't survive on its own blood, what? What are you talking about, lady? Man.
If they're wanted or not, like they should
No,
live
it
if the
doesn't
mom
depend
wants
on
them.
if they want it or not.
may I say
And
something
you can
too?
take a step back.
So-
you take a step back.
We should have NICUs.
Please take a step back.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
May I say something to you just respectfully towards you, humbly?
You're being respectful, and I'm enjoying the engagement conversation.
I
with you,
genuinely,
but
I
feel-
genuinely mean this. I think that deep down, and you don't have to agree with this, that you know what we're saying is the truth, but you have another commitment that's in collision with everything else you believe about human beings.
That's what it is. Just say it, lady, right? I'm 70-something years old, and I like to open my legs, and I like to get effed by everybody, right? I like the way it feels. Sometimes, right, I like the way the juice comes in, right, and I feel the moisture, whatever the hell it is, right? And so there's a risk I'm going to get pregnant, and I don't want to, and I want abortion for everybody, right? I want this to be because of me, right? Because I can't control myself, right? Just be honest. Why can't you just be fucking honest? And everybody else who is pro-choice, why can't you just be fucking honest, right? Because you know deep down that the behavior in itself is wrong. You know deep down that it is. And you decide to mask it by taking some moral argument. You don't care. You don't care about the rape victims. You don't care about those that, underwent incest. You don't give a shit about them. It's just a cover-up. And there are far less cases when that happens, right? And I'm in agreement, right? If it's incestuous, right? I can tell you, coming from a science background, the baby is going to be born and it's going to have a lot of problems because the gametes are the same. It reproduces within itself, right? Essentially, right? There's going to be complications. An agreement there, right? That maybe we can do something if the mother's life is in danger, right? If something is gonna happen again, but the bill has nothing to do with this. So this lady is bringing up arguments that have nothing to do with anything, and she should just be honest, bro. Right? I mean, who else watching this, right? Wouldn't you be better off, right? Wouldn't you respect them more if they were just honest, bro? If they were just honest.
You have one commitment, I think, normally in your life. I believe you.
I feel like
but you have a commitment on this.
If you really want to know what I believe that is, as medical science develops, which it has. Like when I was born, I wouldn't have survived at 20. I would have probably had a hard time surviving at 35 weeks, probably.
Yeah.
Back in those days.
Yeah.
And as medical science has advanced, we have the ability to do what we can for those babies who've gotten that far,
Yeah.
who were delivered and are now or
Like what are we at 21 weeks now? I think
I don't know,
we can do
whatever.
29 weeks. 27 weeks.
But as medical science advances, that point moves. It didn't used to be there. But the thing is, you can't take the frozen embryos and you got the technology, you take those frozen embryos and put them in something and nurture them and grow them in an artificial womb. That
Well,
doesn't exist yet.
Okay. Can I just say one thing? Just to meditate on this, okay? Just to meditate. I mean, I totally respect you. Why would we be concerned with advancing medical science if it's just okay to kill them anyways? I think you know, and I know that we do that anyways because we advance the medical science because we know that we want to love and protect other human beings, and so we do everything we can to fight for their lives at whatever stage they're at. I know you truly believe that. My name is Jeff, by the way. I'm taking off. We can love each other even though we disagree. And by the way, your face reminds me of my mom. Yeah, I know in a good way. It's very pleasant to look at. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, he's very patient and and I love watching these when he confronting Mormons and stuff. But yes, picking up all kinds of. Let's see what the comments say here, bro. Let's see. Thank you, Pastor, for fighting for the least of us. What is she even talking about exactly, bro? Claiming the fetus as a dependent is actually the smartest point I've heard a liberal make in a while. That actually was kudos to her, man. That is actually a very good point. You should be able to claim it as a dependent, claim that child as a dependent on the taxes, right? It's taxing on the mom. She's hungrier more. She's craving all kinds of things now, right? She's eating for two during these times, etc., right? It's a good point. She knows in her heart, she knows she will think about this conversation for a long, long time. I hope she changes her mind and heart for real, bro. Notice how also, out of all the creatures of the world, humans are the only ones that have this issue. Do you see that? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy, bro? Every other animal is like, again, and this is the programming wants to have children, right? It's the, you can see it in lions, you can see it in cats and dogs, birds, etc., right? Peacocks, right? The way they try to woo the female, right? There's like the dances and stuff. The penguins, right? Presenting a stone, you know, some kind of pebble, something, right? The freaking pufferfish, bro. The male does like some design in the ocean floor, right? To woo, you know, and then successfully, you know, bring in a mate. It's the process. It's the whole thinking, right? But these people just want to be having sex without, you know, successfully passing off any genes or creating progeny or creating life. And because it's going to be an inconvenience to, you know, I'm not going to be able to do that for 9 months or whatever the reason is, right? Just be honest, bro. Honestly, man, it's just be honest. It's disgusting, right? Then you like, you deep down, you know what it is, but nobody mentions it. I'll fucking mention it here. I'll fucking bring it up. That's the problem. Just be honest. Just say it, right? You're a whore. Dudes, you're a man whore, right? The guy siding on that side, right? Pro-choice argument. You're a man whore, right? Just be, there's nothing wrong with it. That's okay. Right? Just tell the truth. Just be honest. I respect you way more. But that's all I got for today, man. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you're pro-choice or pro-life and why. I've told you I'm pro-life. Try to change my mind in the comments. I'll read them for sure if you can. Or if you're pro-life, tell me why you're pro-life. Also, be interesting to see that as well. You know what to do. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow, repost, all that good stuff. And I will see you all in the next one, man. Peace.